Hello and welcome to another episode of my Science Mode playthrough of Kerbal Space Program in the JNSQ Planet Pack. Today I will be doing some things with my surface base on Minmus. The first thing I am doing is I am adding in some, I guess you could call them relay stations or whatever for fuel and whatnot. And the reason for this is that I have some resource transfer station hoses on some modules that can't reach the sockets on other modules. So what I am doing is I'm launching some relays, as I'm calling them, to be able to bridge the gap. And the way that's going to work is they're basically like these little probes that have these trusses on them, and on one side is a resource transfer station and on the other is a socket. And so the idea is that you take one of the hoses that can't reach something and you put it in the socket on the relay, and then there's a transfer station on the relay that can go the rest of the way to the thing you need to connect, and you know, the resources travel through the relay. And the said relays, two of them to be exact, are launching on this. And since I've pretty much described this whole thing, I really don't know what to talk about now. Also, I'm pretty sure this is like the only full launch you'll be seeing in this video, because I cut out a bunch of the other launches, just barely showing them, if at all. I'm kind of questioning my decision to do that now. I'm not real sure if I should have, or why I even thought about doing that, but whatever. And so here you can see, I guess that's what that's got to be getting into orbit, and then once the maneuver's set up, this transfer stage will just decouple from the previous one and send this thing off to Minmus. And it appears I either didn't record the decoupling, or I just simply didn't have any good footage of it, because apparently we're not going to get to see that. And that little transfer stage is just basically like my go-to service module for sending stuff to Minmus. Usually there'd be a crew capsule on the end of this thing. And so yeah, we once again have that thing I've been doing with repurposing stuff, because I don't know if I've ever talked about that, but in this playthrough I really like to repurpose as much stuff as possible instead of coming up with new things, because I don't know, I just think that's a neat thing to do, really. And I couldn't really say why, and I really need to like not do these pauses. It's just, I don't know, sometimes I really don't know what to commentate on here, because I mean, it's just like I need to think about what I'm going to say, but at the same time, if I just sit there quietly, what's even the point of commentating? Because like, well, I could just take the time to just sit down and think about this stuff. I really don't want to. And you know, I have to admit, there was like a period of time where I seem to remember writing scripts for these, and I just don't feel like doing that right now. I mean, I might do that in future episodes, don't get me wrong, but I just don't feel like doing that at the moment. And so here you can see the landing of the first relay right by the lander, and then one of my Kerbals will just get out of the lander and hook that up to the lander and to the ISRU. And the reason for that is, if you've seen the last episode in which this surface base was featured, you'll remember I time warped and all of the fuel boiled off in the lander. All of the fuel in the lander boiled off because it's hydrolocks. just basically liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. And so I needed to refuel it, and luckily I have the means of doing so right here on the surface. So I just got to get everything connected, and then this thing can be fueling up and then, you know, make its way back up into orbit around Minmus, or back to the space station in orbit around Minmus to be exact. So there you can see just the first little hookup being done, and then this is after the landing of the second one, and it's just going to connect to the habitat part of this, because what I want to do eventually is I want to have a lab and some other stuff on there. And so now we have like the part where fuel will actually be coming from, just connecting to the relay. And yeah, I really don't like how the Kerbals are having to use their EVA packs to get around on Minmus, but I'll get to my solution to that later. So this next launch is just a little test of a tanker that will be used to get fuel from the surface onto the station. I don't think this design actually does that though. This was just kind of I don't know, me just testing out the idea. I'm not even sure why I'm including this in the video, but I am. And so, yeah, I mean, do I really need to explain this? The whole idea of this is it's a fuel tanker. Or actually, I don't even think this is a fuel tanker. I think this is just bringing some supplies over to the base, because what I think the idea behind this is that it will, it's going to bring some ground anchors and some struts to the base, because every time I go into Time Warp, the base likes to bounce up in the air a little bit, and I really don't like that, because for all I know, that could lead to some sort of Kraken-related issue where the base just tears itself apart, especially if I end up expanding on it a bunch. And so, yeah, that's what this is going to do. Although a funny thing happens, for some reason I wasn't able to connect everything with struts the way I wanted to or whatever, and I ended up having to use the joints from Kerbal attachment system and some sockets to connect the ground anchors to the modules. Or so that's how I remember it anyways. So yeah, I guess I can go ahead and talk about my solution to the issue with Kerbals getting around on the surface of Minmus. So what the issue is that the Kerbal walking animation basically makes them jump every time they walk. And, you know, on higher gravity places, that's not really an issue. But on Minmus, that basically means, you know, being up in the air for a long time before being able to take another step. So walking anywhere takes forever, so I end up having to use the EVA packs to get things done, which I really don't like. So my solution to this is that I'm gonna send a rover to the surface, and I think I already attempted this once, and the rover design wasn't that good, and it flipped over a whole bunch. And so now you can see I'm just getting the ground anchor out, and for some reason I'm doing that with the payload bay doors. So this is the actual tanker, and oh my goodness, I just realized I've been calling this thing that was just delivering parts to the surface a tanker this whole time, when that's not its purpose. It's just kind of a delivery thing for parts and whatnot. But this is the real deal right here. This is what's actually going to get fuel from the surface of Minmus and up to the station. And I may make a bigger version of this in the future that can haul more fuel in a single trip. But for now, this is the tanker that I'll be using. And so yeah, not really sure where to go from here. I mean, I guess I can just go on one of those rambles about how rambles, is that, or ramble, is that even a word? I don't know. Well, I guess I can just go on one of my little tangents about not having anything to talk about, because that's better than just sitting around in silence, right? So, I don't know why, but I really do like the rockets I've made for this series. Oh, okay, so here we can see, who is that? I can't tell if that's... Well, hold on a minute. I have this window I can enlarge in my editing software. It's Valentina. Yeah, you can see Valentina's just hooking up the tanker to, something. Probably the ISRU, maybe something else. But whatever it is, it's hooked up and getting fuel, and now Ribery is just out here, getting everything into place to secure the modules to the ground. Yeah, I did a bunch of other ones, but it's all... I've edited that out because I don't really like showing the same thing being done repeatedly. And so here you can see the rover I am sending over to Minmus now. That's just going to be used for just getting around the base. So yeah, it's just going to do all of... Oh, one thing I might want to mention. You may notice the skybox is different because by the end of the last episode I changed to a new skybox. In this video, I'm back to the old one. The reason for this is I recorded this footage months ago, and am just now getting together, and am just now getting to putting it together into a video. So yeah, this is old footage with the old skybox, in case you're wondering what that's all about. So yeah, this thing just gets the rover down to the surface, and then is the rover didn't really have a way to clear it, so it's just going to get launched up and just sent off onto a suborbit to crash. That's my preferred way of getting rid of it. And for some reason this ladder wasn't working properly, so ended up having to use the EVA pack to get up to this, and Ribery kind of clipped into the rover and caused it to tip over. Luckily the reaction wheels on it are more than enough to get it upright with Minmus's gravity. And they're actually a bit too powerful, so I go ahead and just shut those off and just drive this thing closer to the base, because it got pretty close, but it could always be closer. And so with it fully refueled, I went ahead and got everyone onto the lander and sent it back up to the station in orbit around Minmus, or Athens Station as I am calling it. And, okay, I hate to toot my own horn, but I really do like the way this space station has turned out. I know I've probably said it like a million times, but I don't know, it's honestly one of my favorite things I've ever built in Kerbal Space Program. Like, I'm genuinely proud of it. And so now we just have the lander just going on its approach to dock to the station. And so with the lander docked, the tanker is now going to head up and dock to the station and put some fuel in its tanks, or really just one of its tanks. And you can see I only have a single engine lit, and that was just a little fuel saving thing I thought I would do, because turns out this thing only needs one engine to get up and down on the surface of Minmus. So yeah, I won't be igniting those other 4 ever again unless the need comes up, like, I don't know, maybe needing to kill off some speed at the last minute because of being dumb during a landing or something. Also, I've hit my hand on my on this folding table that I use as a desk like multiple times during this voiceover by now, I'm pretty sure. Hope that isn't too much noise in the voiceover, because I definitely did that while talking a few times, so it's not like I can just mute those parts of it. And there you can see it is docked and ready to fuel the station. And so now this next launch is it's basically a little tug of sorts, because I had some monopropellant tanks on the tanker that I wanted to add to the lander, because the lander's monopropellant reserves were pitiful, to put it lightly, you know. Could be better. But it turns out that they're too heavy to move around on Minmus, so here we just have Ribery just putting them on the back of this tug that Valentina is piloting. And then Valentina is going to bring it around to the lander, and Ribery will add the monopropellant tanks to the lander. And the importance of the monopropellant is it's what the RCS thrusters on the lander run on. It's, you know, it's basically what's needed for the translation controls, you know, side to side, up, down, all of that. But I didn't really get any good footage of that, so I am just plain out not going to show you. Well, I guess that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, then please make sure to leave a like. If you have anything to say about it at all, then please say it in the comment section down below. I am open to criticism and would love to hear how to make these videos better. And if you would like to hear about it every single time I upload, please consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. And until my next upload, that is all from me for now. Goodbye.